morning and a very warm welcome. You are watching JanataTelevision and this is the English Bulletin with me, Sushant Akal. The top stories first. Kathmandu Valley sees a drop in new cases of coronavirus. Total number of infection reaches 218,000 across the country. Kathmandu Metropolis to provide free PCR tests from today. Swab samples will be collected as per the criteria set by the government. Late King Birendras' private residence opened for public. People will have access to King's Chamber starting from today. Trump's bid to overturn election suffers setback. Judge tosses Pennsylvania lawsuit. And Djokovic-Nadal crash out of ATP finals. Thiem sets up title clash with Medvedev. And now the news in detail. The government yesterday confirmed 1,674 new cases of coronavirus across the country after the latest round of tests. Kathmandu Valley reported a drop in daily cases of a new infection with only 899 cases registered yesterday instead of 1,000+ cases registered on a daily basis since a couple of months. Among the cases reported in the valley, 685 were registered in Kathmandu, while Lalitpur and Bhaktapur reported 165 and 49 cases respectively. According to the Ministry of Health and Population, the total cases of coronavirus in the country has climbed to 218,639, while the number of active cases has dropped to 24,009, a slight improvement from the overnight tally of 24,665. Meanwhile, the death toll from coronavirus has climbed to 1,305 across the country, with a confirmation of 7 new casualties yesterday. So far, 193,325 patients infected with coronavirus have recovered from the disease in Nepal. Nepal is currently among the top 36 countries that have been most affected by the pandemic. Kathmandu Metropolis has announced it will collect swab samples for operating free PCR tests starting today. It has been decided that swab samples of all individuals that fall under the criteria set by the Nepal government for free PCR test will be restarted, informed Mayor of Kathmandu, Vidya Sundar Sakya. Speaking at the statue unveiling program of national hero Sankhadhar Sakhwa and human rights activist Padmaratna Tuladar yesterday, Mayor Sakya informed free PCR test will reoperate from today.
Contact tracing र PCR टेस्ट निशुल्क गराउने गरी अगाडि बढाउँछौँ र नेपाल सरकारले तोकेको मापदण्ड पुगेकालाई मात्र हामीले निशुल्क गराउँछौँ र डाक्टरले चाहिँ सिफारिस गरेका र ज्येष्ठ नागरिकहरू र क्लोज कन्ट्याक्टमा परेकाहरूलाई मात्र अहिलेलाई पहिलो चरणमा गराउने गरी सरकारले जुन मापदण्ड तोकेको छ त्यही अनुसार काठमाडौँ महानगरपालिकाले पहिला पनि हामीले त्यसरी गराएका थियौँ.
Informing that Kathmandu Metropolis has been taking necessary steps to extend the coronavirus tests, Mayor Sakya requested everyone with symptoms to go for PCR test. The government is preparing to open the private residence of late King Birendra Bir Bikram Shahdev for the public. Authorities of the Naraniti Museum will be opening Sri Sadan, the residence of the popular late king, to the public from today. The decision was taken amid a function held at the former royal palace yesterday. The general public will now be able to observe the place where the monarch who ruled for a long time resided. It is a matter of great public interest and curiosity for the people to learn about the lifestyle of the kings. They can finally get some idea about it by observing the residence of King Birendra. The royal palace of the Shah dynasty was turned into a museum after the country abolished monarchy following the mass protests of 2006. The palace is spread over 654 ropanis of land and is home to the Central Division headquarters of the Nepalese Army and also houses the Department of Passport. There are altogether 52 chambers inside the Naraniti Palace Museum, which were used by different kings. The government has been opening those chambers to the public in a phase-wise manner. The academic session of Manang, a Himalayan district affected by COVID-19, which has spread all over the world, is in dilemma. Students and parents are still confused as there is no study in the academic session of Manang, which starts from January-February every year. In Manang, the new academic session starts from the Nepali month of Fagun every year, and the final examination is held in March. But this time, the academic session is coming to an end without a class in session. According to Narayan Regmi, head of the Education Development and Coordination Unit Manang, even though the school started teaching at the beginning of the academic session, regular classes have stopped. In Manang, which has 4 local levels, classes have been started in the schools under Nasong municipality since mid-August, but classes have not been conducted in Dinchiang and Narfu municipalities so far. As the cold weather intensifies, most of the locals in Manang leave the district, and those who leave the district also reach different parts of the country, making it difficult to conduct regular classes. At present, the future of the student is in doubt as the academic session of Manang for this year is coming to a close. The Rakti Unit Committee of ruling Nepal Communist Party has said its attention has been drawn towards attempts to disturb a meeting being addressed by Standing Committee member Surendra Pandey yesterday. Leader Pandey had been disturbed by some leaders of NCP at yesterday's party program in Leader Pandey's hometown, Chitwan. Some leaders had sloganeered and distributed Leader Pandey's address. Rakti Unit Committee has recommended stern actions against such leaders to District Committee. And now the news from the economic front. Many factories were affected by the lockdown that began on March 26, 2020 to prevent the spread of the coronavirus. Those who made good use of the time of lockdown, which became unfavorable to many, are now becoming self-employed and earning for their own living. Hetera Sub-Metropolitan Ward 6 has started self-employment program targeting those who are unemployed due to lockdown and prohibitory order. The ward office has invested in grants to the unemployed to the areas of commercial agriculture, animal husbandry and fisheries. It has benefited those who have lost their jobs, poor families and single women. In Hetera 6 alone, more than 40 families have turned to commercial agriculture as their primary source of income. But due to lack of vocational training and adequate investment, they are not able to achieve the expected benefits. Welcome back, and now the international news. US President Donald Trump faced a new setback on Saturday in his desperate bid to overturn the US election as a federal judge dismissed a lawsuit filed by his campaign in Pennsylvania. US District Court Judge Matthew Brann ruled that Trump's campaign had failed to demonstrate there had been widespread voting fraud in the November 3rd election, which Trump lost to Democrat Joe Biden. This court has been presented with strained legal arguments without merit and speculative accusations, Reuters quoted Brann as saying. According to the news agency, Brann added that he has no authority to take away the right to vote of even a single person, let alone millions of citizens. The lawsuit, spearheaded by Trump's personal lawyer Rudy Giuliani, sought to stop officials from certifying Biden's victory in the state, arguing that some counties wrongly allowed voters to fix errors on their mail ballots. The lawsuit is one of dozens filed by Trump and his Republican allies in the aftermath of the election. They are also seeking to invalidate or change the results through recounts and direct pressure on lawmakers in several states. The campaign has not provided evidence for its claims of widespread and coordinated electoral fraud. The head of the Tibetan government in exile has visited the US White House for the first time in 6 decades, Reuters reported. According to the news agency, the move could further infuriate Beijing, which has accused the United States of trying to destabilize the region. Lobang Sangye, president of Central Tibetan Administration, was invited to the White House to meet the newly appointed U.S. Special Coordinator for Tibetan Issues, Robert Destro, on Friday, the CTA said in a press release. Tibet has become one of the areas of dispute between the United States and China, with relations between the world's two biggest economies at their lowest point in decades. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo accused Beijing in July of violating Tibetan human rights and said Washington supported meaningful autonomy for the region. Beijing officials have since accused the United States of using Tibet to try to promote splitism in China. You're watching Janata Bulletin, and now the latest from the world of sports. Rafael Nadal's dream of a first ATP Finals title and Novak Djokovic's quest for a record-equaling sixth vanished in defeats by Daniil Medvedev and Dominic Thiem in two seismic semi-finals on Saturday. Nadal, seeking the one major pot missing from his vast collection of silverware, must have seen the door creaking open when Thiem produced a staggering fight back to beat Djokovic 7-5, 6-7, 7-6 in a classic contest lasting almost 3 hours. Medvedev, 10 years his junior to Nadal at 24, won the other semi-final 3-6, 7-6, 6-3. Jose Mourinho's side Tottenham Hotspurs climbed to the top of the Premier League table after defeating Manchester City by 2-0 yesterday. Tottenham have been seen as title contenders this season, and yesterday's victory at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium made a big statement once again. Despite having 33% possession and 4 shots on target to City's 22, Spurs operated with classic Jose Mourinho's tactics. According to BBC, Son Heung-min put Spurs in front after 5 minutes, finishing coolly from Tanguy Ndombile's pass before Manchester City had a first-half goal ruled out by VAR for a handball by Gabriel Jesus after Aymeric Laporte's finish. Giovanni Lo Celso scored the second on the 65th minute, just 35 seconds after coming in as substitute. Similarly, BBC has also quoted Chelsea manager Frank Lampard, who said Chelsea need to remain humble after moving second in the Premier League table following a solid win over Newcastle. An own goal by Federico Fernandes and a Tammy Abraham strike secured a 5th successive victory in all competitions. In other matches, Manchester United defeated West Bromwich Albion by 1-0 after Bruno Fernandes scored via a retaken penalty in the second half. We are at the end of Janata Bulletin, and the headlines once again. Kathmandu Valley sees a drop in new cases of coronavirus. Total number of infection reaches 218,000 across the country. Kathmandu Metropolis to provide free PCR tests from today. Swab samples will be collected as per the criteria set by the government. Late King Birendras' private residence opened for public. People will have access to the King's chambers starting from today. Trump's bid to overturn elections suffers setback. Judge tosses Pennsylvania lawsuit. And Djokovic Nadal crash out of ATP Finals. Thiem sets up title clash with Medvedev. And that's all from the English News Desk for today. You can follow Janata Television and our programs on various social media platforms, including on our website janatasamachar.com. Keep watching Janata Television. Namaste.